Hello everybody. We're sitting in this boat on dry land today to tell you a story about God's goodness, His faithfulness, and how He encourages you along your path. This was a difficult journey for us, in which we were sometimes confused or bewildered, wondering what was going on. But when you have a word of the Lord and you stick to it, and you never give up, the Lord is faithful to show up in miraculous and amazing ways.
I haven't bee on my face.
Well, I think that the livestock here is just going to eat us alive, so we're going to keep going.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll start the story by saying that we were praying to the Lord, and as most of you know, we were trying very hard to get a vessel, and we thought that by coming to Panama with a vessel we'd be able to help more by providing more housing, more amenities, more access, just more ways to help and serve in a place that's isolated and hard to get to. But the Lord showed us that even without the boat, He was calling us to Panama for a season. And so we knew we were supposed to come.
And are we happy that we did? But yeah. So when God told us, like, I want you to go, there's a lot of things that went in process and that we started doing. One thing was to contact the base leaders and tell them that we heard from God that we were supposed to come even if we didn't have a vessel. So after that, we started preparing. I think we had just a couple weeks.
3 or 4 weeks.
3 or 4 weeks before leaving. And we found out that there were a couple needs that only could be bought in the States or shipped to the States. So the base leaders had bought something and sent it to us. And one of the packages, the early morning that we were, or in the morning that we were planning on leaving, had not arrived yet. So Matthew sent a message to the base leader like, okay, we have one of the packages, but the other one is not here yet. And he goes and checks his email and tracks the package, and it says put in the mailbox this morning. And it was really, if we were not delayed a couple hours, we would not have that package, and now we were able to bring it. So we see it really as like God wanted that package to come here. And yeah, so we left, we got the package, we put it in a bag, and we left the day we drove off. And we drove up to Matthew's Papa and Mama, grandparents, and that's where we stayed the night, just so that we could see them one more time before leaving, and just to spend some extra quality time with them. And it was very lovely to stay there.
Yeah, so the next day, as you might know, traveling during this season of COVID is not easy. There's a lot required of us, and our infants and toddler required a COVID test as well. There are very few places that will test small children like that. And so we found one place in Austin, which we were flying out of, and we went and got we were supposed to get an instant test, one that you get the results in 15 minutes, but they had run out, and we were the first people they helped. So it was a little odd that we went there for that test, knowing that we needed the results soon. And but they assured us that the other tests only took 12 to 24 hours. And so we went ahead and took the test because we needed one anyway. And we got on the we went to the airport, got all of our luggage out, and got over to the check-in, and they told us that they needed a bunch of information that we didn't realize had to be done before we got on the airplane.
Well, we thought that we could do it while waiting at the gate. That was our plan. But they wanted to have us to have it done before checking in. So while Matthew was getting all the luggage checked and weighed and stuff, I started filling in documents which needed to be done individually for each single person. So we had to do it 4 times. So when Matthew was done with all the baggage, putting it out and having it weighed and already labeled but not put through yet, he's picked up his phone and he started helping filling in documents, and that was all approved.
But we gotten to the airport really early, almost by accident. We didn't intend to get there that early. We intended to have lunch, but everything just kind of happened so that we got there early, and it took like 45 minutes probably for this whole process. So we got in, we got through security, and we went to our gate. We had a couple hours, and
So we had lunch.
so we went and had lunch, and we went to gate check our stroller wagon device that we use to get our kids and our luggage all around in the airport. And the guy goes, "Hey, you're just the people I was looking for." And I'm like, "We didn't hear our names called." But apparently there were some issues. The lady that checked us in had not dealt with some of the dates on our information, and one of Sharon's identification cards was expired, but we have a letter saying that it's good for another 18 months. Anyways, took him and a manager about 15 minutes probably to get it all checked through, and then that was just in time to get on the airplane.
Yeah. And then we ended up from Austin going to Houston. In Houston, we arrived and we thought we had a very short layover. It ended up being quite a bit. It was nice. And
Houston?
yeah, we went to Houston.
That was a short layover.
Yeah, it was a short layover, but it was long enough because there was a playground next to the gate, so the girls were able to play for a little bit. And we already checked in. We again went to the counter to gate check our foldable wagon, and there we got that went through very quickly, and we were standing to board the plane. And apparently there were a lot of people ahead of us that had tried to go on, and they checked for a red stamp on each ticket, and we didn't have one either. So they were announcing that if you did not have that red stamp on your ticket, you had to go back to that gate at the counter and show them that you had filled in the document that we already had filled in before leaving Austin, but also to prove that our insurance was covering if it was needed to be in quarantine for COVID. So all the payments for that, it needs to be up to a certain amount of dollars. And if you had that, then you were getting a red stamp on your ticket, and then you were allowed to enter. So we went back, stood in line again, and they saw our documents, and we were able to show also the insurance part. And we finally got the red stamp, and we were allowed to board the plane.
Yep. So we got on the plane, got all our stuff settled, and going to Costa Rica. And by this time, 2 flights and all day, we got up and left early that morning. And so all this time is gone. We get to Costa Rica, it's late, 7:30 or 8 o'clock, 8:30 maybe, and we were waiting at the gate for our wagon so we can haul all of our carry-ons and our girls and everything around, and they're tired and cranky. And we come to find out that people in Costa Rica put our gate check wagon with the rest of the check luggage. So we had to walk probably 300 or 400 yards.
How many meters?
It's about the same. It's the same.
Okay.
Carrying all of our luggage
Plus,
and children, and trying to convince our 2-year-old that she needed to walk herself when she was tired and cranky, and
It was already past her bedtime.
it was very frustrating. But we thought, oh, we've hit a break, and the lady at the immigration and customs stuff was like, oh, you're a family, come over here.
So
We go through this special line, and she starts checking our QR codes for Costa Rica that we got for filling all our paperwork out, and she goes, oh, there's a problem with some of them but not all of them.
Yeah.
And so I had to leave Sharon in the waiting area in customs while I went on a bus ride to this office where they wanted to check our problems. And it turns out we'd attached the paperwork, but it wasn't clear to them exactly what, and so we got it all pulled up and showed them, and they approved everything, and we were able to get into Costa Rica.
Yeah. So when we entered, we finally got all our luggage and our foldable wagon, and Matthew did a very great job in piling all the bags on top of each other and tying it well down and all kind of things. And then we walk, how far was it?
100 meters.
100 meters, like a very short distance, and all of it needed to come off because it had to go through security or agriculture. And then after that we could put it back on again. So we did that, and we came out of the airport expecting there to be waiting for us our hotel taxi, because I had arranged that we would stay somewhere overnight and that the hotel would pick us up, and they had agreed on it, what we thought. Apparently they never saw a request, but there was no taxi waiting for us. We called the hotel and they tell us that we just need to take a taxi that we have to pay for, and they will drop us off at the hotel. So we went on a sketchy taxi ride. It was not too sketchy, but it was dark, and it was a wild ride. Natanya enjoyed it, sitting in between Papa and Mama. It's not often that happens. And we arrived at the hotel, and we had to pay the taxi, and then we checked in, and they brought a very cool crib, like the one that folded. It was all wood and it folded very small, and then they pulled it together. It was really cool. So yeah, we slept there for a night, and we had to wake up very, very early.
So it was about midnight when we went to sleep.
Yeah.
And we still hadn't gotten all of our paperwork and everything in order for Panama, because we found out we needed more paperwork for Panama.
So we woke up very early, and the people that worked at the hotel, they woke up also very early because they put some breakfast for us ready out there. Not that they cooked anything, but all the cold stuff that they could just take out of the fridge, they put it out for us so that we could eat some breakfast. And we were waiting for our shuttle to arrive from Carib Shuttle, and that one would take us from San Jose in Costa Rica all the way to Bocas de Tora in Panama, at least what we thought. So we went on the shuttle, and we stopped somewhere where they went to eat breakfast. We ate some as well, and then later on we continued the ride, and then we stopped at a hotel where we ate lunch, and that's where we switched taxis. So all our luggage had to come out of one van, was put in a box with a lock on it, and then it was opened with the other taxi came an hour and a half later and put in that bus. And after the lunch, then we went to the border.
Yeah, and on the Caribe shuttle, it's really nice, and you have Wi-Fi.
Yes.
It's not the best Wi-Fi, but it's good Wi-Fi. And we're trying to make sure we have all of our documents in order, and we're really waiting on those test results. Remember the ones we said that we're only supposed to take 12 to 24 hours? Well, we're past the 24-hour mark, and we're fixing to be at the border
On a Sunday,
which we didn't really think would be a problem. You know, it's a border crossing, so it's usually well manned. But apparently on Sunday, and we'd asked our shuttle driver, you know, if we don't get our results, because they were very curious if everybody had their test results and everything. They said, if we don't get our results, what happens? And they said, oh, well, I said, can you take a test at the border? Because you can at the airport. And I didn't know if it was the same for border crossing on a car. And they said, yes, you can take a test at the border. So we thought, okay, well, no big deal. If we don't get our test results, we'll be able to take a test at the border.
So yeah, we come to a stop at the border on Costa Rica side, and Matthew needs to go out and he needs to pay an exit fee or something.
Exit tax.
Exit tax. Well, they don't take larger amount of money, so we had to buy something and then pay. So he had to go somewhere, pay. In that time, somebody came and took all our bags out of the van, and I'm sitting there with a baby and a toddler,
2 car seats,
and 2 car seats, and they're taking all our bags off. And so I'm quickly going out and tell them, like, okay, this is a foldable wagon, and I start helping them, guiding them how to put it together. Matthew comes back, lucky for me, because I still had the 2 kids in the car, in the van. So he piles up the foldable wagon, and again with all our luggage, he's taking it back on his back. I take the diaper back on my back, and we have, by this time, we have our daughter is in a car seat that is also a stroller in one. It's a Duna, and so I'm pushing her, and our 2-year-old, I trying to guide her with my arm to go, because we have to walk across the bridge to enter Panama. So, and then we stop at another point. So there's 2 men helping Matthew with the foldable wagon, because they felt so sorry for him that it was very heavy. And so we walk across the bridge, and there is a point that we needed to stop again on the when we entered, or at the border exactly from Panama. We had people from Carib Shuttle walking to that point, and the Panamanian people from Carib Shuttle would walk from the other side. So at the border, they kind of handed us over to the other group, and then so they helped us further with all, like, from which counter to walk. And so we continue, and there is the army that was sitting on the bridge? Military checkpoint, and we show them our passports, and then they ask about our COVID test, and we told them that we took one, that we didn't have the results yet, that they were pending. And they were like looking at each other and talking a lot about it, and then they decided that they didn't want to deal with it, and they waved us through.
Yeah, and then so we were hopeful, really, at that point. I think we were like, oh wow, they let us in, because you know, we've kind of crossed the border. And anyways, we go on to this next place, and this next place is the building is solely to check whether or not you have had a negative COVID test. And so everybody else goes in front of us, and I'm trying to get service on my phone, which I've had service everywhere relatively except this place, and I can't get service. And finally I get some service, and I show him that we have the test, but they're still pending. And I try to explain that, you know, we've done everything we're supposed to, you know, all this stuff. And he's like, well, you can't come in without that. And so basically between them and the shuttle company, you know, they're trying to figure out what to do with us, and they're going to send us back across the border into Costa Rica. So we go to the...
But our luggage was already put on the shuttle.
Yeah.
So when they decided that we couldn't go, they took all our luggage out of the shuttle, put it back on the foldable wagon.
Yeah, it went on and off the shuttles and on the wagon a couple of times. It went halfway back across the bridge, but all of that to say that we went to immigration to get kicked out of Panama, basically. And the guy listened to our story, and he was like, well, I guess. And so he goes to start typing up this exit letter so that we can go back to Costa Rica and probably pay some more taxes. But he's back there for a while, and we're just trying to corral our 2-year-old who's losing her mind. She's been in a car seat and cooped up for a long time. Traveling is rough on little ones. And so
they did pretty good.
Yeah, so we went, we're standing there waiting, and he comes back over and he goes, "Let me see your paperwork." And he said, "Who told you couldn't come in?" And so he explained, you know, that we were at this building, and they said that we couldn't come in because we didn't have a negative COVID test, and that we were waiting on one, but we didn't have any service. And he goes, "Well, just let me see." And I thought, well, you know, he's asking for it, I'll try. But we're in a different spot now, under a metal roof. Like, there should be even less signal there. And I happened to pull up all 4 of our COVID tests, and they're negative.
So we celebrated big. Yay!
Yeah, and we were pretty excited, and he was like, "Okay, well then you can come in."
He was first confused. He was like, "So what's the problem? You have your results."
Yeah, but I think he could tell by the surprise that they just come in.
Yeah.
But anyways,
this trip is very much trusting the Lord to provide in everything, all our needs on this moment. I don't even know where our luggage is. It's somewhere over there. We're safe here, it's good. And we're finally allowed to enter Panama. The COVID test came after probably waiting for an hour or something. But we have them. So we're entering, and we'll continue the journey hopefully soon. Yay! So we went back to the first counter where the guy was like only checking on if you have this test. And we had to go back there in the rain. You didn't go in the rain probably. You did. So we had to go there in the rain. They had to see us, check our temperature, and they gave us then a piece of paper with some information on it, like our temperature and time or something. I don't know. And with that piece of paper, we had to go back to the guy that was there when we celebrated that we had our negative results. And that's where we had to go through fingerprinting, another temperature scan, and and pictures and stuff like that. And that's where we were stamped in. But by this time, we found out that our luggage was halfway the bridge. Or when we found out that we just had it, the negative results. So the people came back with all our luggage back off the bridge. Poor guys, pulling it all the way there. But our shuttle had left without us already.
Quite a while ago.
Yeah, quite a while before, probably like 30 minutes or 45 minutes beforehand. So they arranged for us a different shuttle. So in Panama, the rule is when you're on a public bus, you need to not only wear a face mask, but also a face shield. But because we now had our own shuttle, it was only us, we were allowed to just only wear a face mask, and we're not even that strict on that either. So it was very nice. That made it for us a lot, and it made it easier. So they drove us to Amarante, and in my mind it looked like a small shack at the side of the road, which is apparently where the small, how do you call it?
Water taxi.
The water taxis are going from. So all the luggage was taken out of the shuttle inside this office. And did you go in line with them to pay, or did they do that?
No, I didn't have to pay, but I had to check in, and of course they sent us right to the front of the line because we'd missed our shuttle, our first taxi. Yeah. And yeah, so we ended up catching the very last taxi from Amarante to Bocas del Toro, Panama, and it was a smooth ride. Luckily, one not very wet for all of our luggage. And when we arrived there, Nathan and Christina were waiting for us. We basically put our stuff all on the dock out of one boat and then into the other boat, and we arrived here at Outpost Panama.
And when we arrived, we we put the boat was put here at the dock, and we thought we were prepared mentally to carry every bag up the hill and walk I don't know how many times to get it all up there. But they have one of the rules here, which is great, is that everybody helps. So they had called everybody to come down to the dock, and everybody took 1 or 2 bags, and we only took one trip up the hill, and all the luggage was up on the hill, and we were here, and dinner was ready. It was just very nice. Yeah, it was such a huge blessing, and yeah, we were just amazed and overwhelmed. Like, even later that day we were reflecting on, like, God completely took care of us. Like, each single step, we had so many things that would seem like we can get upset, or we're not supposed to go, or all those things, but we saw God come through so many ways. And even like, if I now look back, like, our girls did great on the whole trip.
Yeah, and
yeah,
like I said earlier, we thought we could get tested at the border, but backing up to that part of the story, and the reason they were going to send us back is because it was Sunday, and the doctor doesn't work on Sunday, and they won't give you his number. He will come out for emergencies and like special cases. He charges like 3 times as much. It would have been like $150 a person probably to get tested, but we didn't know any of that, thank goodness. I've been trying to find that phone number. But all of this story is just to go to show you that if you have a word of the Lord and you keep moving forward, He will always open the door. His timing is perfect, and we don't know why we missed the shuttle with everybody else. We don't know why we got, private shuttles and the last taxi and all that stuff, when it would have been, felt like it would have been much better to get here sooner. We were all tired, and
I think it is because otherwise God would not have received the glory. He now has all the glory because we did not do anything to deserve it.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. So yeah, our whole journey here is completely a faith journey, and God made it all happen. And we have seen the importance of our time being here already, but that will be shared more in different video. So yeah, I hope this encouraged you too. And it is harder and more difficult to reach a place that is more isolated, or the hard to reach places. We need to do more effort to get there, and that's what this story for sure showed us. And it showed us also the importance, why it is so important to have a vessel to go somewhere places, because it's easier to get there.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you so much for listening to our story, and we pray that God would keep you and bless you, and as you listen to His Word, both in the Bible and as you spend your quiet time with Him, listen, obey, and never give up. And if it seems like everything is stopping you, get as close as you can and lean in. Until next time, we love you.
Bye.